Peak Super Saiyan 4 Goku is coming, but is he worth your summon? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan Battle video. In today's video, we are answering the age-old question, should you summon on the upcoming LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku's banner for this year's Thank You celebration in November for Global Dokkan. As always, we have our three criteria we're going to use to review the banner. That is, we're going to take a look at the unit itself, decide, is the unit good enough to warrant a summon? Then we'll take a look at the banner itself. What other units are on this banner that may justify your summon, that add value to it? And finally, last but not least, for your further consideration, we will take a look at what lies ahead. Should you choose to summon for LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, what might you be giving up in the future? And we will give our recommendation based on those three. So first up, let's go ahead, let's jump in. Let's take a look at what the unit does. So he is a GT Heroes or Full Power Category Key 3, HP Attack Defense 170, plus an additional HP Attack Defense 30% for characters who belong on Pure or Hybrid Saiyans. On his 12 key super attack, he is raising defense for one turn, causing colossal damage and greatly lowering attack. His 18 key raises defense for 4 turns, causes make colossal damage to the enemy. On his passive, he gets Key 3 Attack and Defense 150%, gets an additional Key 1 per Key Sphere obtained, plus an additional 70% and a high chance of performing a critical hit when performing a super attack. He gets an additional 70% within the same turn, and defense 70% for 3 turns after evading or receiving an attack. He reduces damage by 20%, plus an additional 70% for defense, and reduces damage received by 20% as the first attacker in the turn. He has a standby ability that allows him to switch into standby with Mod Jube, and it can be activated after receiving 5 or more attacks. So in his base form, he's actually really good. Basically, he is a slot 1 unit, yet he does need to take a quick hit before he gets his full sort of damage reduction and defense, but once he takes that hit, he is pretty solid as a slot 1 unit for most events in the game. Some of these newer short events give him some trouble, but after a turn or two allowing him to stack his 18 key, he more than makes up for it. And by that point, you are able to standby him into the Mod Jube, right? His standby is actually, I would argue, up there with the Budos in terms of utility and just a straight up wall for a standby ability. Once standbyed, he has 300% defense. He reduces damage received by 10% per type key sphere obtained, and guards all attacks with 3 or more type key spheres obtained for 1 turn for the start of turn. He also gives all allies key 3 and 70% defense for 2 turns from the start of turn. He randomly changes 1 key sphere of a certain type to int, and nullifies unarmed super attacks directed at the character. Once you've collected up enough charge, if you after the standby turns are over, you can either leave standby mode and recover 30% HP while giving key 3 for 3 turns, or when you get 29 or 30 or more charge counters, you will evolve into Super Saiyan 4 Full Power Goku. Like I said, this standby is one of the most powerful standbys in the game, not because of its power, but because of its defensive ability. He cannot be touched provided you keep the key spheres up, which is very easy to do when he is changing those orbs, right? Upon transformation here, though, he becomes Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Goku, and he gets a 77% HP recovery. He guards all attacks for 1 turn, performs a critical hit for 3 turns for the start of turn. He gets Key 7 and Attack and Defense 200%, and 2 key per key sphere or rainbow key sphere obtained. He also gets an additional key 1 per type key sphere obtained, and an additional attack 150% when performing a super attack, and a great chance of performing a critical hit if it is an ultra super attack. He has an additional 59% attack and performs a critical hit when key is 24. He gets an additional 77% defense for 5 turns after evading an attack or receiving an attack. He reduces damage received by 25% and gets 77% defense, and reduces damage received by 25% as the first attacker in a turn. So once you can actually pull off the super full power Saiyan 4, he becomes not only one of the greatest defensive units in the game, he's also going to be putting out some massive attack numbers, especially once he takes that first hit, right? This guy is getting 50% damage reduction plus all that extra defense in slot 1 plus the extra attack. We are talking about a character that can annihilate most of what's put in front of him once you can actually pull it out. The hard part is getting him to there, right? Because you have to take 5 hits in this form, which can be a little scary depending on the super attack placement and number of attacks he's got to take in slot 1. And then you have to make it through the standby phase, which, you know, more than likely we're talking about, if at all you get it in some of these newer red zone stages, this is like the very, very last turn he shows up, right? You're probably not going to see him for more than 1 turn or so. In some of the older events, it's a little bit easier, but definitely with these newer, shorter events, it's a lot harder to pull out the Super Saiyan 4 full power. But with that said, all things together, he is still a top tier LR, right? We're talking at least within the top 5 in my opinion. So with that said, is the unit worth a summon? I would say yes. For the unit itself, I would say that is a big worth your summon, simply because he is just that powerful, right? I do believe he himself would carry this banner no matter who else is on it. Speaking of who's on the banner, let's take a look at the banner and determine whether or not the banner is worth your summon. So we have the new full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku on the banner. We have his banner unit baby, who honestly isn't that bad. It's just he suffers from the same issue every other GT boss suffers. The team is just not that good, right? We have the return of Vegeta and Trunks, who, as we've seen in recent showcases, are actually doing quite well still, right? They still serve their function well, that is being a defensive wall in slot 1. We have the return of the Tech Gogeta and the LR Blue Boys, who are definitely showing signs of aging, even though the Tech Gogeta, I would say, offer a little more assistance in that they do still have damage reduction and they do have that heal and scatter effect, which are still very helpful. This is the second return on global of the Gammas, who are still very, very powerful, very useful. Gamma 2, not as much as Gamma 1, because Gamma 2, most of his defense all comes post-super, which can be a problem in stages, some of these newer stages that have those AoE attacks for him. But Gamma 1, definitely still a powerhouse, definitely still very helpful defensively, combined with his support. This banner also returns the Tech Pan, who, you know, while limited and does have her issues, can be quite fun. And then of course we got the 2 Super Saiyan 4s, the Tech Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku with his ZZA, and the Int Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, who, I mean, he's definitely showing signs of aging, but in certain events he can be fun. So all in all, I mean, at least with the return of Vegeta and Trunks and the Gammas, I would say that definitely gives this banner a thumbs up. If you're pulling on this banner, you're bound to pull something here, and, you know, 4 out of the 10 units available are pretty good. So I would definitely give my thumbs up on this banner here. So that's one in the category of summon for the character, and another in the category of summon for the banner itself. So all we need to do now is look at what lies ahead, because after all, just because you spend here doesn't mean that that's the end of it, right? There are things coming up that you may want to have saved some of your stones for. So first and foremost, The very next banner to come to Global Dokkan following this banner is more than likely going to be the Super Dragon Ball Heroes banner, right? Which will include all of the characters you see here on screen, plus these guys here, the Limit Breaker Broly, Dark King Fu, and the Berserk controlled Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, and of course the main big headliners here with Limit Breaker Vegito and Super Saiyan 3 Rose. So if Heroes is something that you are interested in, right, we don't know much about what these guys are gonna do, but I can bet you they'll still be pretty fun. So again, this one, not as big of a consideration if Heroes isn't something you're interested in, but if it is, you definitely need to pay attention to how many stones you're going to be spending on the Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Following these guys, the next big banner will be whatever Dokkan Fest is for December. It'll probably be the Int Androids or the Tech Super Trunks. Either way, not a big banner you should be concerned about, because the next banner after that is probably the bigger one you should be worried about, and that is this Tanabata banner. This will be the first return of the 8-year anniversary characters, so if these are characters you missed, this is your chance to pick them up. If you don't have stones, or if you don't have coins, then you're gonna have to spend stones to try to pick them up. And for somebody who may have missed one of these two or the Goku, this is your best chance to do it. This will be in mid-December or so when this banner comes. Following this banner, we should see the LR Omega banner, which in my opinion is a big ol' skip. But following that, at the end of the year, we should see the New Year's Step Up banner, which as always is a 200 5-round step up, which guarantees you certain characters at each step, right? On your first step of 20 stones, you are guaranteed an Easy A category lead. This list will probably also include the list of Dokkan Fest from here, so it will probably be all of these Easy A guys, plus some of the 2021 Dokkan Fests. Your second step for another 30 stones will guarantee you one of the old school LRs. I imagine they might bump some of these guys up, or they might just keep it the old school LRs. Following this, your third step for another 50 stones will net you probably, more than likely, bumping the 2022 Dokkan Fest into this banner here, right? So your third step will be a 2022 Dokkan Fest. So these guys right here, from the Golden Week units up to Super Vegeta here. Following that, your next step for another 50 stones will probably be all of the 2023 Dokkan Fest, right? So we're talking the Golden Week units, Goku and Piccolo. We're talking Kale. We're talking Super 17, Bardock, Yamcha. All of these guys are going to be on this banner here, as well as this is a tough one because right, the New Year's units are on here, but that's because they weren't LR. So I don't think that Gohan and Piccolo will be on the banner, but every other TUR Dokkan Fest will. Finally, ending up the last step would be a yellow coin LR up to, I'm going to guess, Super Buu, maybe even Tree of Might Goku, based on this here. Last year it was up to the 7th year anniversary LRs, and the year before it was up to the 6th anniversary LRs. So good chance that we should see all of these on the banner. It should be kind of fun chance for you, if you are a newer player, to pick up some units that will help you fill out teams that you'll need to clear most of the events. Now, I do believe this year they might do something special for the Step Up banner, simply because, right, the further we get into these newer metas, the more and more these characters become less and less relevant for you. Not that they can't be used to clear some older content, but definitely make it harder and harder to build teams for newer content. So I imagine they might do something special to really draw people in with newer characters, right? We might not see them stop at a character like who's the newest one on here from the previous year, Raditz, right? So this year, if it was Raditz's slot, this would be Kale. They might even push it a step further and put Turles in there, or they might push it a step further and add like a Dokkan Fest LR. I think that one's less likely, but I know they got to do something. Otherwise, the banner holds less and less value for players as we approach, you know, more and more powerful bosses. Following this banner, there is a chance that once again we could be seeing another collaboration in New Year's. Last year, the New Year's collaboration for both JP and Global was the LR Piccolo and LR Beast Gohan. Good chance we'll see something again. Whether or not it ends up being TURs or LRs remains to be seen, but typically once they make a celebration, a joint celebration, that doesn't change. It will continue to be that way from that point forward. We saw it happen with Golden Week. We saw it happen with other shared celebrations. So good chance we're going to see that happen once again. So saving your stones for that possibility may be something you want to consider. Also consider that there's a good chance that we could be seeing the 9th anniversary in February. That's a long shot, but it could happen. You may not want to blow all of your stones here in the month of November and have nothing ready for that anniversary. It's still a ways away, but it's something on the horizon that you should keep in mind. So given all of that, looking at the banner, looking at the character, looking at what lies ahead, I do still think it's safe to throw in some stones to this banner. So given that, we're going to go ahead and tier our recommendation. So I would say that if you are anything greater than 500 stones, you probably can do at least 2 to 3 rotations on this banner. I wouldn't say any more than that, especially if you were at that bare 500 minimum, simply because, you know, there is Heroes coming up. There is New Year's, right? And while Goku Celebration will bring us around 500 stones to recoup what you used, you don't want to blow everything, right? Some other considerations to consider with that, though, is in the data download, we know that there are Dokkan Festival tickets. We've already been handed out 5 free ones. There will be more given through Porunga missions, as well as purchasable for you pay-to-play, low-to-play players. So that is something worthy of consideration. Also, it's also worthy of note, looking at previous thank you banners, we will have a 1 round or at least 1 round up to possibly 3 round super multi discount. Last year, the Resurrection of F Blues had a 1 round only super multi discount, which got 1 2 and 3 steps for 25, 30, and 45 Dragon Stones, recruiting 5, 7, and 10 characters respectively. And then after that, it went back to 50. However, in previous years, with the Vegeta and Trunks, for example, or with the Tech Gogeta, we had something even better. And I think because this is an LR banner for the Thank You celebration, we're probably going to see something more like with VT and with Tech Gogeta, and that is 3 rounds, 30, 35, and 45 stones to get steps 1 through 3 for 3 rounds. So discounted for 3 rounds, and then after that, right, 3+1s as well. So we're going to see discounts and 3+1s to get as many guaranteed multis as possible, right? They did the same thing the previous year with the Tech Gogeta, so I think there's a good chance we could be seeing this again, and that'll be very helpful for you low-to-play players summoning on this banner here. So I would say if you are again, back to my tiered recommendation, if you're free to play with 500 stones or greater, do the 3 discounted rotations, right? That'll keep you below the 500, and you will get at least 3 free multis out of that. Unsure if we'll be getting tickets out of these multis. I doubt it. We haven't really seen discounts and tickets as of late, except on anniversaries. But who knows? It's in the data. It could happen. We just don't know yet. But I will say, again, free to play, 500 stones, or at least do your 3 discounted rotations. If you're anywhere between 5 and 800, I would say do the 3 discounted rotations. If you don't get them, maybe go a rotation or 2 more, but otherwise call it after that. If you're 1,000 stones or greater, I think you're pretty safe to do what you need to do in order to get this character. Hopefully you pull them within that, you never know. And obviously, if you are pay to play, low to play, do your tickets first. That'll be very, very helpful for you. So, guys, that is it for our video. That is our recommendation on whether or not I believe you should summon. To recap, I believe this is a must summon banner for you global players. We still got some time before big banners that actually matter, unless Heroes is something you are concerned about. So, have at it, you know, spend responsibly, but otherwise it is a good to go summon banner. So guys, that is the video. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and in the comments down below let me know how many stones do you plan on spending on Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Goku during this year's thank you celebration. Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.